Is it all worth it? Is it worth it, the time and expense, and it might end in failure?
Is our democracy worth it, Bram? Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it. You know, this is about sending a signal. It's about holding those accountable who tried to undermine our country and our democracy. And it's also about sending a signal that this will not be accepted in the future.
Welcome back to Square Off. Late last year, the fake electors case was when the fake electors case was under appeal. I asked Democratic Attorney General Kris Mayes whether it was worth pressing forward on a 2020 elections case that might not be heard by a jury until 2027 or beyond. Her answer, you heard it, is our democracy worth it? Today, Mayes is restarting the case with a plan to seek new indictments after the state Supreme Court rejected her appeals. Once again, I ask, should Mayes press on when indictments might be tougher to obtain and Mayes might not be around to see the case through to the finish line if she doesn't win re-election in November? Our politics panel steps in with some answers. Democratic consultant Stacey Pearson of Lumen Strategies and Republican consultant Barrett Marson of Marson Media. Welcome back to Square Off. Need to refresh everybody's memory because it seems like so long ago, not really, early 2024. 18 people, Trump allies and top Arizona Republicans were indicted on felony charges of conspiring to overturn Arizona's 2020 election results. The Supreme Court let stand a lower court ruling that dismissed the case because Mayes prosecutors failed to give grand jurors relevant information. The 1887, I think, Electoral Counts Act was not given to the grand jurors. Case was thrown out. Mayes responding to the Supreme Court said, I'm going to re-indict all these folks. We don't know. Stacey Pearson, should Mayes keep going or let it go?
I think she has to keep going. I mean, that behavior, the attempt to overthrow the results of a free and fair election, cannot stand. And especially when the guy in the White House hosting the UFC fights now are has pardoned and set up a slush fund for folks who tried to overturn our democracy. I mean, this isn't stopping at a federal level. It certainly shouldn't get a pass at the local level.
Is this more of a political move or a legal move, do you think?
Oh, well, it's definitely a political move. I mean, Kris Mayes has sued the Trump administration 40-odd times, so this is much more of a political move. But, I mean, just as I say for Donald Trump, 2020 is 6 years ago. It is time to move on. It is time for Kris Mayes to move on. Trump is never going to move on, and he really should, because I think voters really care much more about what is going to happen to them in 2027 than what happened to him in 2020. And I kind of feel the same way, that we should be looking to the future, and we should, be addressing the needs now, today, whether it's affordability, crime, illegal immigration. All that stuff needs to be addressed, and that's what voters really want to focus on. 6 years ago is not something they're really thinking about.
And I suppose, case aside, is that right? The voters really have moved on from 2020, and it just doesn't grab them.
No, I mean, 2020 was a test run for what we expect to see in this next presidential election, which is all sorts of weird shenanigans. And so voters haven't necessarily moved on. They've gotten increasingly concerned that the very basic tenets of democracy, being able to vote how you want, where you want, are under attack. Mm-hmm. And the president continues to issue executive orders that underscore his attempt to make it harder for American citizens to vote.
But he certainly does keep with these dubious executive orders. Yeah. But, Arizona has voted securely for a generation now by mail. We know how to do it. We're not Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, who just instituted it during COVID. We've been doing it for more than 20-odd years. And I just think, it's settled. I do believe voters really want to move on from something that happened 6 years ago that they didn't care that much about then, other than, the ultra partisans on either side.
Okay, and we're going to move on to topic 2. Former Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb, now 5th District congressional candidate, is embroiled in a seedy sexting scandal that includes allegations of wife swapping. How concerned should Republicans be that having Lamb on the November ballot will drag all of them down, including possible likely candidate for governor Andy Biggs, who gave Lamb his endorsement?
Yeah.
Oh, they should be really concerned. I mean, those texts are insane. And then to move beyond just sending dirty texts and threaten people with potential arrest if they disclose what they'd received is really kind of terrifying for a sheriff and ultimately a congressman.
Are Republicans looking for a way out of this? You do have Daniel Keenan,
Right.
Self-funder. He's running. He is the mirror image of Andy Biggs, not well known. Are Republicans looking for a way out of Lamb on the ballot, or should they?
I still think Lamb is going to crush that primary. And if he wins the primary, he's going to win the general. There's no doubt about it. And I don't think he's going to drag down Andy Biggs. Andy Biggs has got a lot of other issues that will drag him down. Sheriff Lamb is not in the top 10. So there's
Not in the top 10.
There's a lot of other issues for Andy Biggs to deal with, and there's a lot of fodder for Governor Hobbs to hit Andy Biggs with over the campaign trail. So it's not going to help Schweikert, and I don't think it's going to help the guy who's running against Lamb, whose name you
Daniel
just said.
Keenan.
Daniel Keenan, whose name I have not committed to
He
memory.
just had his conversation or quasi-debate the other night without Lamb there. Interesting to watch. Topic 3, I gave each of you an assignment as the legislature heads for a hectic finish by June 30th, we hope. Several important or controversial bills are still in the mix. Tell me about the one bill you are watching and why. Stacey, I'll start with you.
The most important bill that has not been passed is oversight in assisted living facilities. And it's 1046. It allows for families to voluntarily put in a monitoring device like we would at our child's daycare. And part of the premise was a gentleman who was on the floor in his assisted living facility for 26 hours without help. You know, I lost my mother in December. This is very personal to me. This needs to be moving.
And it's kind of stuck right now.
It's stuck.
A bit of a smaller bill, but one that's important for, I think, voters and candidates. 2805 allows local candidates to use the equal system that state legislators and statewide candidates get to use. Is a bit of a poison pill in that this mandates that you choose a party for a school board, even though those are nonpartisan, city elections, nonpartisan. You have to choose whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, PND, whatever. So a bit of a poison pill there, but maybe they can't, for Governor Hobbs' signature, maybe they can negotiate that away. But I think that's a great bill to bring that to local candidates, make it a lot easier for them to qualify for the ballot.
But at the same time, Republicans attempting to make school board races partisan, which has been a long-term effort.
Long-term effort.
So we'll see where that lands. Barrett Marson, Stacey Pearson, thanks so much for joining us. And that's our show for this week. Thanks very much to all of our guests. Thank you so much for joining us. See you back here next weekend for another round of Square Off.